Today's show is sponsored by Profit Accumulator, the #1 match betting service in the UK. Match betting is different to gambling. With gambling, you bet on one side, and if that side loses, you lose. With match betting, you bet on both sides. That means no matter what the outcome, you're a winner. When you sign up to Profit Accumulator, they will walk you through the whole process of how to do match betting, and as long as you follow what they tell you, you cannot lose. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description right now for your free trial, and you can start earning some real cash. Hi, and welcome along to the All Guns Blazing podcast with my man DT in the building. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm all right. It's been a nice, peaceful week. Well,
it's been a long week.
Yeah,
it's been a long week because it's like you're watching everybody else playing football. We got no football on, you know what I mean? It's just seemed weird this week especially because like all the games have come so thick and fast, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just mean that I thought it would be a nice week for, staying out of the limelight as an Arsenal fan. But lo and behold, we don't need to even have matches to be in the limelight, do we? So,
yeah, right. We're gonna touch on that. Just before we.
I hope not.
I think it's going to be one of them podcasts. I can tell already. It's going to be one of those, right? Before we do that, this video is brought to you by Profit Accumulator. The link is in the description if you want to get involved with Profit Accumulator. Let's dive straight into it, man. Saliba, what the hell was he doing? What the hell is going on? Does this happen in the change rooms when DTFC are playing?
Mate.
What's going on?
Mate, do you know what? Like, anybody that's played football or been in that sporting environment in change room knows that there's antics that happen in the changing rooms. There's always banter and laughs and jokes, but I have never in all my life seen anything like what I saw, and I just don't understand it. It was just the whole casualness of it. It was just, it's been a tough session. Let me knock one out. Don't mind me, lads. Do you know what I mean? And it's like everyone just sitting there chilling. It's like, I don't know what goes through your mind to want to knock one out in front of people, but I guess some people enjoy that. But, mate, I don't know what to say, man. Like, what I will say, and I'm going to make this point clear as well, because there's a serious side to this as well, is that the moment it all came out, we just saw pure homophobic abuse. If Saliba was, for example, gay, what does that matter? Does that affect him as a footballer? Does that change him as a human being? No, it doesn't. So, in that respect, let's, get that out there first and foremost. There's no excuse for any of that kind of behavior. We live in a society now where, we should be able to respect people's, wishes or sexuality or whatever it might be. And, he's obviously thought, having a bit of a laugh, each to their own, as they say. That's not the type of thing that I would be doing or you would be doing or whatever. It's like, oh, mate.
It was just weird. It's weird because, like you said, I know I've played in, sports, not at that level that they played at, but I've seen madness in changing rooms and people having a laugh and some ridiculous things that when you think about it, if it was filmed, everybody would be looking at that and thinking, what are you lot doing? But I've never seen nothing like that. It didn't even look like a prank. You know what I mean? You saw like some sort of prank was going on, that didn't look like a prank. Like you said, that just looked like I'm trying not to get myself in trouble. I mean, it just looked.
Well, and look, at the end of the day, like I said, what's really weird about it is the fact that apparently it's 3 years old. So who's been sitting on that video for 3 years and then just released it? Where's it come from?
How did that video get out?
Like, where? How? And, you know, I didn't notice it at the time, but it was somebody that pointed it out, was that they were obviously with the French Football Federation. They were playing for France. But if you notice, France had 1 star above their badge. They've now got 2 because they won the World Cup. So it was before the World Cup.
Yeah, but then that kind of makes it worse, because then how old? He's only 19 now.
He was about 16 when that video was done. He was a boy.
So what's? I mean, the French Federation said they're investigating it.
Well, yeah.
Who's that player, by the way? Who's the player in the video? Because everyone's been going on about Saliba.
I've got no idea. And the maddest thing is that more people are speaking about Saliba for filming it than the person that's just casually doing it. It's strange in that respect. But look, I hope it's one of them that eventually will, settle down and we all just forget about it, so to speak. But I'm afraid to say that will probably follow him around for the rest of his career. Something like that.
Do you think, right, it's look worse on Saliba, because recently he's been coming out and saying a lot of things about his situation when he was at Arsenal before he went on loan to Nice. He's having a great time at Nice. He got Player of the Month over there in France. But it's been rather too many comments associated to him about this situation. I understand that he was very, very disgruntled that, he was left out of the team. And as he said, he was only given 2.5 games to prove himself. And he's very disgruntled that he didn't get a chance. But we're hearing a bit too many, hearing a lot of it. Yeah. And again, with this coming up, I mean, there was people suggesting that maybe Arteta leaked it just to shut him up, which, by the way, that's total nonsense. But do you think that's the thing that makes it even worse?
Do you know what the thing is that obviously on the same day, only a few hours before, we were hearing all these media reports coming out of France about what he'd been saying. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, just be quiet. Stop talking now, man. I know a lot of it is getting twisted and it's not as bad as what the headline suggests. I'm not naive enough to, read a headline and just go with that. I want to look in depth at the comments to see how badly they've been, taken this way. But I just think that he needs to be advised that if you're giving interviews, just don't speak about the club at the moment. Just don't, get your head down. You're a 19-year-old boy. You've got, a lot of people to prove, that you can fulfill the potential that everybody knows you most definitely have. And, I suppose Mikel's one of the ones at the forefront that's like, come back to Arsenal in a year's time and shut me up. Prove me wrong. That's what you want. And it's the same as any player that a fan criticizes. Prove me wrong. Show me that I was wrong about my opinion on you. And it's the same thing. He's got to, for me, knuckle down and just continue doing what he's doing. On the pitch, he's doing the right thing. But off it, you're showing a very immature side to your, what you're, and it's just, that side of it, just keep quiet, man. Just keep quiet. Go about your business, play your football. End of the season, Arsenal made it very clear that you're definitely a part of the future plans. But they want you to go and play regular first-team football and get that, proper season under your belt for at least. You missed so much of last year. He had injuries as well when he was at St. Etienne. So he never got the full season under his belt. Then the French season was cancelled. So he never really went away for a year and came back with the experience. And he was going to and fro, parents dying. And he himself has even said that he wasn't right at the start of the season. He wasn't fit enough. He was really rusty and everything. And Mikel's obviously looked at that and said, I need to get you somewhere and out of here. I need to move you on to get that full development that you missed out on last season, which was the reason why we sent you back in the first place. So much potential. And I watch his performances in France and look, in the nicest way, it's probably not difficult for him to be player of the month when you saw how badly Nice have been playing. And their defenders have been absolutely horrendous. But it's so nice to see him just being confident on the pitch. And, you know, continue doing that. Get your head down. Keep your mouth quiet. Come back and prove Mikel wrong at the end of the season, start of next season.
Yeah, because I don't think, listen, they ain't going to get rid of him because, you know, they've invested so much money in him, £27 million.
Yeah.
And especially in this pandemic time, no one's going to pay that sort of money if they even wanted to move him on. So he's coming back. He's coming back. So, you know, do you look on it with Arteta and just think to yourself, on certain players, his handling ain't been quite, because Saliba didn't really get a chance, did it? That's one thing that he says. No. He's been pretty fair about it. Like you said, he had the injuries. The French season was cancelled.
Yeah.
But you can judge a man after a couple of games. You know what I mean? Couldn't he have given him a few more games and more games in the Carabao Cup and things like that? He didn't even get a chance to even play in any of those things.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is, I think Mikel himself has actually come out and said he made a big mistake by not registering him for the Europa League because he would have played him. And who knows? He could have performed in those matches and he would not have gone out on loan. He could have been right in amongst trying to play right now. You know, but it works both ways. Obviously, Saliba wasn't right at the start of the season for whatever reasons. His fitness wasn't there and sharpness and everything else. And maybe his attitude a little bit as well. And yeah, so I think that Mikel obviously has his best interests at heart and Arsenal's best interest. And he feels that the right thing to do is to go away, play regular. And what Arsenal probably would have wanted is for him to stay out the spotlight. This is the big issue. Arsenal would have wanted him to go to, you know, to Nice and just play football. And the only time we hear about you is player of the month, man of the match, you know, brilliant defending, all those type of things. What we don't want to hear is you talking about your lack of game time, how this, that, the other, and then old videos resurfacing. So it's publicity for the wrong reasons. And as Arsenal fans, we're all just sitting there like, oh, come on, man. You know, when you hear the player of the month thing, you're like, brilliant, wonderful. But then you've got the negativity attached to it as well. And you're like, but there's this, and then there's that, and then there's this. And that it's just like, get your head down, get out the spotlight, and let us only hear about you for what you're doing on the pitch, not stuff away from that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, look, Mikel's, like it or not, he's learning on the job as well. We knew that. Some of his handling of certain situations has been poor. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that he's done where it's obviously working. You can see that he's closely been working with Pepe of late, and it's starting to bear fruit on the pitch. And we all heard all these stories that he was responsible for Sane and Sterling and working on them as wingers at Manchester City and stuff. And, you know, you see what he's starting to do with Pepe now, and that's good man management. At the end of the day, you might not like him or what he played and the way he played at certain periods, but he's openly said that he sticks with him and he's hoping that he can get his form going again. And there's so many other circumstances and situations behind it. And, you know, the reason why Bukayo Saka signed a new contract to Arsenal is because of Mikel Arteta. The reason why Martinelli signed a new contract is because of Mikel Arteta. The reason why Aubameyang signed a new contract is because of Mikel Arteta. The reason why Thomas Partey joined the club is because of Mikel Arteta. Gabriel. You know, so there's a lot of good things that Mikel does. And yeah, you make mistakes along the way. We all do. Nobody's perfect in life, whatever you do. So, you know, we've just got to ride out what is it's just a mad season, man. It's a tough season.
Tough season. It gets tougher at the weekend. Leeds this time. Yeah. Leeds are all attacking. Leeds are a team that everybody loves to watch this season. They've been brilliant. They've been always on the front foot. When we played them at their place, of course, it was ended in a draw. We were very, very lucky. Yet another game when we went down to 10 men. And actually, I wanted to do a match-up today. and the matchup is Pepe or Alioski. And of course,
God.
Of course, it was the headbutt from Pepe on Alioski.
Yeah.
I mean, let's have it right. Alioski went down like he'd been shot with an RPG, but it was a headbutt. It was a sending off offense. It was very stupid and very silly. And actually, when you look at it, his recovery, it's almost like that woke Pepe up, that incident, because, like you said, since he was out of the team, he's come back. He started to look like one of our better players. But that game's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah, look, the thing with Pepe, I think that kind of woke him up to an extent, and then people playing ahead of him and performing really give him the kick that he needed. And all he wanted was an opportunity. He got his opportunity, somewhat fortuitous in the sense that, Aubameyang had to, go and be with his mother and everything. But he took his opportunity to the point where Aubameyang can't get in the team now. And rightly so, because Pepe has been our standout player. Along with Saka, the pair of them working on that left and right-hand side has been absolutely superb. And they're causing a lot of problems. But this game, I think, could be more suited to us in a sense that Leeds are not going to set up with low blocks and try and defend.
No chance.
I'm gutted that Thomas Partey is not available, because this is the kind of game that would have suited him because of the quick breaks and the passing and how we can spring leads. But
what's up with Thomas Partey, man? This guy was never, ever injured in his time at Atletico Madrid. Comes to Arsenal, I think
it's the situation we're in. No, I think it's the situation we're in at the moment, Robbie. The percentage of muscle injuries has gone up ridiculously. There's been
but he's injury prone at the moment. Xhaka's not been.
But what you've got to remember is that he had no pre-season, on top of the league over in La Liga getting cancelled and everything else for a period of time, the same as us. Then they kind of go back into it. Then there's the break.
But none of our players, none of the players that were at Arsenal before he came out of pre-season either. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is he's
very worrying that he's.
No, but he's coming to a new league, which is a different level of intensity and everything else. And what you normally find is that when somebody picks up an injury, they pick up loads of other little ones around them. And it just seems to be very, very little injuries that he's picking up, just very little muscular ones. That's 1-2 weeks. And what he really needs is a proper pre-season and a proper conditioning to get used to what the Premier League is. Because we see it as well the other week, because he dropped out of a game a couple of weeks ago with cramp. So it's about conditioning, which is why we've apparently brought this guy in from PSG. Now, he's only just working with them. And another theory that I've got on this is that when Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola first came to Liverpool and Man City, respectively, their style of play, especially Jurgen Klopp, was that it's referred to as like heavy metal football, like action, in your face, press, 90 minutes and everything. And players started to pick up injuries until their bodies were conditioned to play that style of way. So is Mikel and his strength and conditioning coaches and everybody pushing the players so much to ultimately condition them to the style that we want to play, which is that all-action press? And if you look at our performances of late, it is very high intensity.
Yeah, but he's the only one who's been getting injured like that. He's every minute
he's new. He's new. A lot of these players are not only conditioned to the Premier League, but they're, been at Arsenal for a period under Mikel Arteta. He's new. Do you know what I mean?
It's very disappointing, though. I mean, listen, it's not his fault. It's injuries. But it's really disappointing when you've got a player that you spent so much money on. Everybody's excited, wants to see him play. When he plays, you see the quality that he brings to the team, but we just can't get him. I don't even think he's played 3 games straight. I mean, it's just really.
It's annoying, but I do think that eventually it will click with him. Once his conditioning gets up to where it needs to be. I'm not worried about Thomas Partey at all in that respect. I just feel it's a conditioning thing, and he will get himself to where he needs to be again.
What about Kieran Tierney? Because that's another one. You know what I mean? Injury. Great. Two players we're talking about, both great players. Both can be our best players. Yeah. But both of them injury prone. And Kieran Tierney now is proving to be very injury prone. I mean, when he was out injured, and remember, he was playing amazing. Yeah. He's been having a great season, he's been a huge miss as well.
Oh, massive miss.
Again, massive. An injury that we thought was probably going to be like one game, that's turned into about 6 games now? It's been crazy.
But the thing is with Tierney, now that one does worry me because you say injury prone. Thomas Partey is not injury prone. He's just having a bit of bad luck at the moment. Kieran Tierney is injury prone. He's had a severe history of injuries. Even when he first joined us, I know it was a freak accident, but he had that shoulder injury that kept him out for months. And you're just sitting there like, oh.
When we signed him, he was injured.
Yeah.
Remember that? He didn't start straight away. We bought him and he was carrying an injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he needs to wrap up more warm. Do you know what I mean? His bones are cold. His bones are cold. Do you know what I mean? But it's
a worry though. It's a worry because this guy's.
It is a worry, Robbie. It is a worry because, he offers so much down that left-hand side, and Cedric's okay to fill in when he needs to fill in for the odd game. Do you know what I mean? Or Saka could drop in there for the odd game. It's not a problem. But when you're talking 3, 4, 5, 6 games, it's like, I honestly I don't think Cedric makes that same mistake he made at Villa if he was playing in the right back position.
If he makes that mistake on Sunday, we'll get punished. And they've got some very good players, Leeds. One of them is that Rafinha. Now, he'll be operating over on both wings, and he is. I watched a game with him the other day. Yeah. He is a very, very good player, a very dangerous player. Yeah. Again, in that game, Arsenal are going to be pressed. You're right. It won't be low blocks from Leeds, but they'll be pressing. And what they do very well, Leeds, is they capitalize on mistakes. Yeah. I've been very impressed by them this season. Although, like you said, they can be a bit naive. They do this man-to-man marking, and they do leave themselves wide open. Mm-hmm. Do you think we can exploit that?
Yeah, I do think we can exploit it because we've got the players that can do it. But also, I think team selection is going to be very interesting for this game. With Benfica in mind. Because what you've got to remember is now, and I think people need to understand this, is that we're always going to be playing away on Thursday against Benfica, whether it be Portugal or now in Rome. But what we weren't expecting was to play Manchester City 3 days later. Great time to be playing Manchester City, by the way. And then our supposed home leg means we're traveling, was Greece, but not no more because of the, rules that they've now implemented. So they're talking, I can't remember where they said it was, but it was somewhere within Europe anyway. But we've now got to go to Rome, Man City, to wherever, and then Leicester away in 11 days. And let's have it right. Given the 2 results that we've just had against Villa and Wolves, our priority is the Europa League.
And plus, those are none of those games really. I mean, we've got a horrible record against Leicester away. Our record against Man City is horrendous. We've got to prioritise those. So what sort of team, maybe we should look at that. What sort of team would you go with? Let's run through it. Mm-hmm. So for that game against Leeds, because the other thing about it is, I hear what you're saying about prioritising it, but you also don't want to lose that game, because if you lose that game, you could end up at the end of February with no wins in the month, because get nothing over. It'd be very surprising if we get anything out of City game, especially after going there in the Europa League. And the Leicester game, as I said, our record there over the last few years has been poor. in the league. So, you don't want to get mullered by those teams either. So what sort of team would you go with?
Well, I wouldn't be making massive changes like
Let's go through it. We're gonna go through it, right? So we'll go with this normal formation in goal.
Leno, back in goal.
Not Ryan. So you wouldn't bring Ryan into that?
He had a great performance against Aston Villa, but I think he also knows his position within the squad.
But if you're keeping back, like you said, you wanting to rest players and keep players back, why not put Ryan in and then have Leno in the Europa League?
Goalkeepers are a different situation. And even if Leno was sent off, for example, again, it wouldn't affect him in the Europa League because different competition, different suspensions. But so now you play your best goalkeeper. It's one position within the pitch. There's a couple of positions where you have to play your best player. And he's our best player. And, and look, he was man of the match probably against Leeds at Ellen Road.
Yeah, he was. He saved us from definite defeat. Right back then, it's got to be Bellerin, isn't it?
It's going to have to be, given the other
situation. No one else.
Yeah, but I'm saying it. The reason why I'm saying it with in mind is because I believe that Tierney is going to be available for the first leg against Benfica. So I wouldn't have a problem with playing Bellerin in this one and Cedric as a left back, because I will put Cedric as a right back against Benfica with Tierney coming in on the left. So full backs, Bellerin and Cedric.
All right, give me your two centre backs.
Two centre backs. I would probably bring Rob Holding out, to be honest. I'd give him a rest. I'd probably play David Luiz and Gabriel. Yeah. I actually don't. I'm not gonna sit here and go hard on David Luiz over the Wolves thing, because I think he's been really good of late.
Yeah, yes. And the Rob Holding, I thought, was at fault for that goal at the weekend. I mean, I know Cedric made a mistake, but I thought Rob Holding's defending was shocking on that. So they've all taken mistakes, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd bring Rob out of this game, and I'd go with David Luiz. I think David Luiz could be crucial for that first time ball to spring the break.
Okay, the two in midfield.
Granit Xhaka will play, and then I think I would probably go with Dani Ceballos. Be fair.
He's been chomping at the bit, and he's been out of the team for a bit. So okay.
Attacking
and then you're free in front of them, yeah.
Odegaard definitely in the number 10.
Okay.
From what I saw of him against Villa, I was really impressed.
Some nice
of what he was doing. So I would play him most definitely. I'd bring Pepe out of the side.
Pepe out?
Yeah, because I'd save him for Thursday. And that's not anything to do with his performances. It's to do with Thursday in mind. That's it.
All right, so you're going on the left-hand side.
Martinelli.
Okay.
And then right wing.
Willian?
No.
Because again, you've got Sacco, who's been a vital player as well.
Yeah, he has been, but he's also just come back from a hip injury, and he's imperative for Thursday. So, do you give Reece Nelson an opportunity?
You've got to play Willian.
No, do you give Reece Nelson an opportunity? Apparently, Reece has apparently been looking really good in training. Played for the under-23s last time out, and scored a brilliant free kick as well, and looked decent. Maybe give him an opportunity. So Reece Nelson, Odegaard, Aubameyang. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're looking at that team. I like the look of that team. I'm with you on the Martinelli thing, because I'm like, with Pepe, I agree. You want to keep him saved up. But then I don't know. I also think to myself though, Pepe is going to be driven to prove a point in that game. So, but Martinelli has not been playing, and I want to see Martinelli playing football. I do not know. There's been another little thing with me and Arteta. I'm like, what have you got against Martinelli in a way. You don't seem to want to play this guy. So I hope Martinelli does get a start. I would definitely start.
One thing that I'm hearing is that Arteta sees Martinelli as a striker.
Well, then play him as one sometimes. Why is he playing Eddie and Nketiah?
What I would like is Pepe to play on the left-hand side and Martinelli up front, and Saka on the right-hand side with Odegaard in the 10 or Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yeah, I'd play Aubameyang.
I think that would be unreal. That four. I think that is just pace and energy and trickery. It's got absolutely everything. I just feel that at the end of the season, I got a feeling that Eddie's going to be let go, Lacazette's going to be let go, and I think that Martinelli would be promoted as one of the strikers with Aubameyang, and if Balogun signs a new contract, he will be the other one. But if not, then maybe go for someone like Edouard at Celtic. Because I think that on Aubameyang, right? You know, I mean, if we're going to do anything in that Europa League, we've got to get him back to form, right? Because he's your big match-winning player. He did score. I think a lot of people have forgotten that before he is the stuff with his mother, where he had to leave the team and go abroad and go and look after his mum. He had scored 2 goals in that previous game. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people have forgotten that. And we was thinking, all right, maybe he's coming back to form. And then he's been out and he's just been playing bit parts since he's come back. But I do think it's important to get him in the team. And I do think in a game like this, up against a Leeds team, like you said, that will bomb forward, that will create a lot of spaces in behind, this is the sort of team that's made for him. This is the sort of team where if you get that ball in behind, I think even if it weren't a game midweek during against Benfica, I'd be playing Aubameyang instead of Lacazette in this game anyway, because it's just, his pace in behind will be much more of a weapon in a game like this than, you know, this is not a game for hold-up play. This is a game it's going to be, you know, they attack, we attack. They attack, we attack. So for me, definitely Aubameyang. I like the Odegaard thing. Nelson thing's interesting. If he's been playing well, I mean, I you know, listen, he should be playing over Willian in my view anyway. He's much more dynamic. Willian, I've not seen anything from him. But apart from that, you know, I'm looking at that team, and that's not a bad team. That's not a bad team to me at all. You can't look at that team. Let's say, for argument's sake, that's our starting 11, yeah? And worst case scenario, we lost the game, yeah? You cannot turn around and say...
No,
but what I mean...
Why didn't you play the big guns?
Yeah. But when you look at that team, you couldn't turn around and go, yeah, that ain't strong enough to beat Leeds. That's poor. That's, you know, you can't. Because that is a very, very strong lineup still. It's only a few changes here or there, but there is also Thursday in mind. And like it or not, and listen, I have to keep saying it to everybody, like it or not, Thursday's the big one. It's huge.
And Benfica are a very good team.
Very, very, very good team. We're just very lucky that we're just very lucky that we're not playing in Portugal at the Stadium of Light. And I wouldn't mind. Listen, for me,
we lost you slightly there.
Wish we were going to Portugal next week. So I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, I lost you. You were saying that you wouldn't mind. What was you going to say? You wouldn't mind going?
I'm saying I wouldn't mind if we were still allowed back in stadiums. I wouldn't mind that we were going over to Portugal next week.
Oh, yeah, that would have been unreal. And you know what as well, right? Remember, their stadium looks exactly the same as our stadium.
And they're sponsors at Emirates as well, aren't they?
Yeah, but they've got the same... If you've ever been to their stadium, it looks exactly the same as our stadium. It's built by the same people.
Do you know what, Robbie, hold on a minute. I was just sitting there thinking about this, and I swear I've seen this before. You know, I was mentioning about the sponsors on the shirt. Am I right in thinking that two teams can't have the same sponsor on the shirt when they play against each other? And that one of them has to change it or go...
To what?
Do you ever remember Arsenal playing a game and they had the sponsors removed from the front of their shirt for a game?
I think I remember something like that.
And I think it was
because they clashed.
Yeah, it was something along them lines. I'm not. Somebody will be able to let us know in the thing, but I don't know whether you're allowed to have the identical sponsor or something. And we had to remove them. So I don't know whether for, them being the home team means that they get, to do it, or they have to remove and vice versa. I'm not sure whether that rule's changed, but I just remember vaguely an Arsenal game years ago where we actually removed the sponsors for a game for whatever reason it was. And someone obviously let us know in the comment section.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, Benfica haven't been having a great season this year. So they're not going to win the league over there in Portugal. They're behind Sporting Lisbon, I think, at the top. They're behind Porto. I think they're down in 4th place. So they've been having a very, very indifferent season. But
who's their defenders?
Dangerous. Sorry?
Who's their defenders?
Yeah, Vertonghen playing for them.
Yeah.
Tarak plays for them as well. They've got a few players that have played in the Premier League and will have a point to prove. Also Otamendi is also there as well, isn't he? Ex-Manchester City.
Christ, man. So their centre-back pairing will be Otamendi and Vertonghen.
Yeah, but they're going to be pumped.
Yeah,
for that.
Yeah, they will be. Yeah, listen,
even though Vertonghen on his day, he's dealt blows to us before in the past. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to be on it. And like you said, it's do or die now. Well, it literally is, because it's knockout stages in that. But we have to go through. We have to. If we don't go through in that, that's it. And season's over.
Yeah, pretty much. Season's done. And I can't really say much more than that. This is literally.
I mean, if that scenario did happen, would it then be serious times to start talking about Arteta? Is he really the man?
No,
if we finished out of the European places and got knocked out of the Europa League at this stage. I mean, I know you like to talk about cheese and rats and all that, but the cheese will be firmly, the rats will be swarming, because that would be horrendous for a club like Arsenal.
Yeah, it would be, but on the from what I'm gauging, Arsenal are going to back Mikel Arteta anyway. He's going to be here for the remainder of this season.
Would he deserve to be backed if that was the scenario that out of the FA Cup? Out of the FA Cup, out of the Carabao Cup, out of the Europa League, and finishing like 8th, 9th, worst in the league.
I think that you need to, when the season's finished, you need to take stock of everything objectively, and you need to look at. And this is what I've tried saying to people: stop the comparisons to Arsene Wenger's, reign at the end or whatever it might be. Completely uncomparable in that respect.
You compare it to Unai Emery, though, couldn't you?
No, because listen, I've seen some comparisons this week, of the players that Emery had and Arteta had, and I'm like, what? You had a prime Aubameyang and Lacazette that scored and assisted 71 goals during that season. You had Aaron Ramsey. You had a Mesut Ozil that was a prime at that time as well in his age and that.
Not under Unai Emery.
No. When Unai Emery came there, the players that were there for his disposal, shall we say, they were all prime. Yeah. Now, the one problem with Unai Emery is that you couldn't see a shape to what we were trying to build. Like, it's very evident that Mikel sorted out the back first. Start out from the back and then try and express ourselves and move forward. Second best defence in the Premier League. Structurally, we are a much better team. Yes, we've lost 10 games in the Premier League this season.
I was about to say that.
But hold on a minute. 7 or 8 of those games have been by 1 goal. I think it's 7 or 8, something like that. The 1 goal. There's been a lot of bad luck along the way. The only game I can really... Look, will you let me speak? Will you let me speak a minute? Right, so the one real game where I feel like it was embarrassing was Aston Villa at home, where they just tore us apart. Apart from that, there's been fine margins between a lot of our defeats and stuff. Sending offs has not helped. And players' inability to create something in the final third. And Pep Guardiola said it, that his job is to build the team to the final third. And then it's down to the individual players and their brilliance and knowledge to be able to carve the openings and do the right things at the right time. We're creating chances now, but something's still missing. You look at the Aston Villa game, right up to the final third, we were fine. People don't want to talk about this, Robbie, yeah? But in the first half, it was a silly error that gave them the goal. For 45 minutes of that game, Aston Villa were quiet. Jack Grealish never done a thing. Not anything. It was a stupid, error by Cedric. But listen to me. So that side of our game worked perfectly. We structurally had Villa exactly how we wanted. Then when we got in the final third, a ball was overhit, underhit, hit the first man, doesn't fall to a player. There's that lack of quality. And
we lost.
This is where you're going to have the argument. This is where you're going to have the argument over what we were able to bring in the summer, is that Mikel's identified certain areas. He'd made it very clear already that Mesut Ozil was not going to be part of the plans. So we needed a centre-back. We needed a big, imposing centre midfielder. And we needed a creative player. We got the defender. We got the big opposing centre midfielder. But we never got the creative player. And that is crucial.
All right, but listen, 10 games lost.
I understand.
10.
I know.
Right, so I'm saying if we finish, whatever you say, Unai Emery got us to the final. Right?
Unai Emery embarrassed us. Unai Emery embarrassed us. Listen, I see somebody that, look, listen, I'm going to, let me finish now. Without saying someone's name.
Let me finish.
Go on then.
Yeah, I mean, you've done your defense of Mikel Arteta. I'm saying that Unai Emery got Arsenal to the final. Whether he was embarrassed in the final or not, he got us to the final. I'm saying that if we was to go out to Benfica and finish 8th, you've seriously got to start, and it could be worse than 8th. It could be like 10th. It could be worse. Because all the teams around us right now have got games in hand. We've got 3 really tough games coming up. Surely you've got to seriously start looking at the manager.
Robbie, I sat there in Arsene Wenger's last season, and the video's there as proof. And I said that we are going to be in the top 8 for the next 5 years or so. And that was before Unai Emery even came along. I said 8th. And I said that fans need to lower their expectations right now until we can rebuild and go again. Because you're not trying to sort out 1 or 2 years of neglect. You're sorting out over a decade of neglect. Bad transfers, bad decisions. And the club are literally giving Mikel the reins to say, clear it all out. And then you've got no excuses. Mikel will have this summer. There's even talk of him getting a new contract. And I feel that if we go on a run, 5, 6, 7 games, get through to the quarter semi-finals at a minimum, then I think that'll probably get announced. Or they might wait till the end of the season. But what I'm saying is that Mikel will be given till the summer. He will then be allowed to do his next part of the overhaul, get rid of the rest that shouldn't be there, and then really start to bring in his own players. And then you can sit there and look at it and go, right, now there's no excuses. Now you need to see something. And in that first full season, next season, of all the clear out, the wages off the bill, and all these things that we've been speaking about for the last year, at a minimum, Champions League qualification. At a minimum.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. You're talking about a new contract. If he was to go out to Benfica and stuff like that'd be a ridiculous decision.
Well, they're not going to do that right now, and they're not going to do that right now. What I'm saying is, if you heard what I said, I goes that if we go on a run and we get to the quarters, semis, and whatever, I see people sitting there the other day, and it's very subjective, and it's very easy to pull up something that suits your argument. People can sit there. And you do it. Listen to me. I just said that I did it with Willian. I'll question Mikel as to why you're playing Willian. Yeah. And then people sit there and go, and people sit there and say, yeah, but Unai Emery wouldn't have been doing this or doing. Unai Emery played Cole Jenkinson against Crystal Palace and lost us the game and made wholesale changes. You want to sit there and talk about changing the team that Mikel did against Southampton and we got knocked out of the cup. Why haven't you got that same energy for Unai Emery completely changing a Premier League game at home against Crystal Palace and making us lose out on the top 4? Why don't you bring that up?
Yep, that was terrible. That was terrible. And what happened to Unai Emery? He got sacked.
Because there was no plan where we were going. Robbie, we were conceding 30+ shots a game. We were going to Watford and getting battered. And I mean 30, 35, 40 shots a game. The defensive structure was all over the place. There was Lucas Torreira being played in a 10. Like, everything was just all over the show. There was no... At least with Mikel, you could go, right, defensively, he's done this. You can't deny what he's done with the defence. So now if he can get rid of some of these players that he clearly doesn't want as his defenders and bring in players that he does, imagine the level that we can get our defence then. And then move on to the attack. Mikel has not physically spent a penny on an attacking midfielder for Arsenal, a number 10, an out-and-out number 10. He was not given the money to go and do it. Whatever the situation was with Aouar and his brother or whatever it might be. But it was that same old argument that we always keep alluding to, which is Arsenal need 3 players. We get given 2. You know, Arsenal need 2 players. We get given 1. There's always one position that we never seem to get. So we got that part where it helped the defence out and it's helped the structure in the unit out, but we were missing one key ingredient, which was what we were going to do at the other end. And in terms of opening up and play and everything else, to the point where we've had to use a young boy that we're resting all our hopes on in Emil Smith-Rowe. That's probably not how Mikel wanted that to pan out. He probably wanted an Aouar so that Emil can learn from him. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
well,
it's important, man. This window, the next window's massive, but that's a long way away. What I'm saying is
before
right
we've
now,
got a lot of games before that, and starting with Sunday.
Do you know what? Can I just say as well that the Europa League, once you get to the knockout stages, has all of a sudden got very, very difficult. I remember years gone by when the Europa League, you were looking at some of the teams left and thinking, geez, I remember the year that Manchester United won it. They played Celta Vigo in a semi-final. We get Atletico Madrid. So we've had to go to Napoli. We get Chelsea in a final. And then you look at it as well this year. If we get past Benfica, you possibly got Manchester United in a quarter-final, Tottenham in a quarter-final or semi-final, whatever it might be.
Or Leicester.
Ajax.
Leicester.
Jesus, how did I forget about Leicester?
AC Milan.
See what I'm saying?
So that's why I said it's not given. It's not given that we're gonna do anything in this. Not if you look on the way we've been playing, and even to get past Benfica is going to be very difficult. But you've given a very, as usual, passionate. You should go and work for Arteta. You know that.
I really do. I'm his agent.
To go and get a job for him because you defend him no matter what. Now
I'm his solicitor.
let's get a prediction for the game at the weekend.
4-2.
4-2. Ooh, high scoring game.
Yeah, why not?
4-2. Well, that'd be a great game. That'd be a great game if it comes off. I think I'm gonna go 2-1. I think it will.
That's so boring.
Yeah, I'm staying boring on this one. We'll let one in, but I think we'll win 2-1 because they are wide open at the back. But if we're not on it, they will beat us. We are, you know, they are a very good side. If you allow them to attack and you don't defend right, they will destroy us. So anyway, DT, thanks very much, mate. Passionate as usual about Mikel.
Listen, man, I'm just keeping my head down, letting a lot of people talk. If I open my mouth, then believe me, I could open my mouth. But I'm just gonna just chill and look. At the end of the day, I back my manager, man. I back my manager. there's different comparisons to Wenger and everything, and I'm bored of having to try and explain myself. So, yeah, look, let's see how the rest of the season pans out.